What's going on? What's going on? What is going on? Come in, come in. Definitely looking forward to this conversation. This is conversation number 10. I can't believe it. It's conversation number 10. And this is mental health stigma on men part 2. Now, y'all remember back last month, we did part 1. And I didn't think that there would be a part 2. But because there was so much information and so many things said during that one, I had to bring some of the guests back, and I brought even some more brothers back, some new brothers, so we can talk about this. So before we get started, the Java of the day is caramel mocha latte. It's my own blend that I did from my house. But that is definitely what I am drinking on. So caramel mocha latte. All right. So again, we are talking about mental health. We are talking about the stigma with men today. We've done women. I did the family. I've done sports. I tried to hit every avenue. Still try to hit the teens. But today, I'm so proud to have these brothers with me. Some of them you remember from part 1. I have my big brother, biological brother, big brother, Carson Smith joining. I have Trip Sanders joining. I have Gregory Burney joining. I have Tracy Baker joining. So I am happy, and we're going to get into this conversation. But first, let me have everyone just introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about who you are. Brothers, thank you for joining this call. I appreciate it. Um, there's not gonna be a part 3. If it is, we going I'm gonna have to work it out. But I'm happy to have this conversation. So I'll start with Tracy Baker. You want to introduce yourself, sir, and then
Of
I'll go to.
course,
Go
gentlemen,
ahead.
I am Tracy Baker. I am Kevin Smith's mentor and his older brother. I have had the pleasure of knowing this young man along with Greg Burney for about 25 years. And I tell you right now, well, about 20 years. Without having these type of brothers in my life spiritually and also just from a friendship standpoint, I don't know where I would be when it comes to the subject of mental health. Obviously, men, especially African American men, have a problem because we don't get help. But talking to some of these brothers sometimes makes me feel like, wow, there is help out there and there is something we all can do for each other. And at the end of the day, those that help each other help themselves. So I'm glad to be here tonight to be a part of this conversation. I'm from Dayton, Ohio, 20 years military. I know I look like I'm 50-something years old, but I'm only 25. So just keep that in your back pocket. I'm a Steelers fan. So if y'all not a Steelers fan, y'all don't have a real team. When it comes to mental health, I like to go fishing sometimes. I like to just listen to music and enjoy lots of sunshine when it's nice and bright outside. So with that being said, gentlemen, I'm here. Glad to be here tonight.
All right, we'll turn it over to Greg Burney.
Good evening, fam. What's up to my brother Kevin? I think he already done a good job of introducing who I am, but my name is Greg. Go by Maestro these days. I like the both gentlemen before said, we met each other up in Alaska, and man, I'm telling you, this is a great topic for me, Kevin, and Major Baker, who's was my mentor as well. Because real quick, we all landed into a place where it was just taken. We were in an environment where life was good mental health, and I believe that at the end of the day, when you live life in a certain way, then you can have a great mental health. And I'm sure we'll get into that, dive into that tonight. But just want to give a shout out to everybody that's on the call tonight, because this is a topic that, as Kevin alluded to and the narrator alluded to, most men don't talk about. We kind of are told to suck it up and push on, but this is mental health is, if you don't have mental health, you don't have health, right? So without further ado, I look forward to getting into this conversation, K-Swab.
Ooh, Woo! Y'all bringing up a lot of stuff. All right. Then we have my big brother, Carson Smith Jr.
Evening, gentlemen. How's everybody doing? My name is Carson Smith Jr. I'm the older brother of Kevin Smith. 10 years plus experience in mental health. I currently work as an adult case manager supervisor. The last show was very, very interesting. Looking forward to getting more topics this episode, and just looking forward to all the opinions of all the gentlemen on the panel and everything like that. So, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting show.
All right, and then we got my guy Trip.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Trip Sanders. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm currently serving active duty Air Force. This will be my 14th year. I'm currently fighting stage 4 lung cancer. So that in itself should tell you what I'm dealing with. Mental health has definitely been a huge monkey on my back. And I'm just happy to be here, man. It's my second time being here, and I'm just here to be transparent and share my story with y'all.
All right. So again, welcome, gentlemen. Welcome. All right. So last time we hit on a lot of subjects, but I want to go back to some of them and just talk for a minute. The biggest thing that I want to start off with is hiding your emotions. As men, when it comes to mental health, we hide our emotions. We hide them because, one, we were taught that we shouldn't show emotion to the world. We can do it behind closed doors, but we can't do it in front of people because it shows a sign of weakness. But how has that? How do you think that has hurt men when it comes to mental health? If people are hiding their emotions and not talking about it, how has that helped or hurt? But I think that it's hurt more men than it's helped. So let's talk about that for a minute.
I agree. I'll go first. So I definitely think that it's hurt more than it has helped, because when you look at the word hiding, you have to hide behind something. And the things that we hide behind leads to porn, alcohol, video games, drugs, and the whole nine. It opens you up to a whole graveyard of things that can send you to your grave early, just behind trying to hide your emotions.
Okay. Anybody can jump in. Greg, Tracy, Carson.
For me personally, I think just hiding your emotions is really a death sentence, because it's going to be that one trigger that you're going to experience, and that's going to make you go over the edge because you haven't let anybody know what you were feeling like prior, and then all of a sudden that minute thing can become so great at that time, and it just makes you blow up. The situation that you experienced, it wasn't the situation. It was the fact that you hadn't talked about your feelings and your emotions all leading up to that situation. And I think especially as Black men, we have that stigma of not wanting to talk to each other, calling each other names, and we call it joning or checking where I'm from when you start expressing yourself a certain way. But I just think that's a stigma we have to get rid of, and make sure that we talk to one another when we are experiencing those emotions, and don't get to that boiling point.
Okay. Greg or Tracy?
Okay, we know it. We know it doesn't help. That's obvious. I'm ready to get to the hows and the whys.
Go ahead.
As in, no, so, why are we perpetuating this bad culture, right? And then how do we get men to just be? If you feel like you need to cry, you need to cry. You see what I'm saying? Because we were built that way, right? And we were built that way because we need to get it out, so the fire don't burn on the inside. But I didn't want to jump down the road. But I was just we know hiding anything. You have to address everything in life. You have to address everything, and how you look at it is going to determine how we go from there. Because if you don't address those, hey B, life is not good, right?
You're absolutely right, sir. Absolutely. And I agree with my brother right there, because that's the way I was brought up, to not show emotions, not sick, not cry, not have any type of feelings. So now that I'm 52 years old, I'm like, man, what am I supposed to do? I see people crying, I don't react to it. I see babies walking down the street, I don't, oh my gosh. I'm just like neutral. And I think part of the mental health stigma and the challenge is to figure out how to teach young men at an early age that it's okay to cry. One last cry, one last cry before I leave. We should be able to express ourselves even at a young age, but we're not. And I think this library guy's telling me that I'm being too loud, so he's waving at me to be quiet. But I'm gonna have to leave this location in a second, because I'm about to get hyped. Because when it comes to mental health,
Oh
we
no,
gotta
not
make
the
sure
way.
we take care of each other. So it's okay to express yourself, especially if you have sons. Make sure you're telling them and showing them and modeling for them that it's okay.
And so my question is, like, how do we create an environment where that is okay? Because from what I've seen and from what I've experienced, and just for me myself, like, I didn't feel comfortable sharing that with anybody that looked like me. I didn't feel comfortable, even reaching out to talk to anybody, even though everybody was saying, "Hey, just come talk to me. Hey, come talk to me." Like, what did it take, or what is it going to take for us to let our guardrails down and just let it out?
That's a good point. That's the issue. It's the environments we're in. Right? When we're in different environments, it's harder to let our emotions out. I know when me and Kevin were growing up, how we grew up, showing emotions, how we grew up, it was like, you were the weakest dude in America. You didn't cry, you didn't talk about how you were feeling, why you didn't have this, how that made you feel, none of it. You didn't do any of this. So I think that's a big, big problem. The environment that we're surrounded in, which doesn't allow us to express our emotions like we should.
Well, a word that I hear, something I hear we keep saying is one emotion, which is energy in motion, right? And environment, right? So, and we are the environment, all of us, brothers, right? And me personally, me and Kevin, you kind of have to tell a story for even to understand it. Like when I met Kevin several years ago, like he was very taken back by me, because I don't try to follow any mold. And even though I thought that's what I was doing, I still later in life realized I was still carrying baggage of a culture that I didn't create. You understand? So what I'm getting at is, we individually, we have to go beyond saying, hey, this is what we need to do. We just have to have these forums and then get energized and live it out. Treyback gave me an adage 15, 20 years ago that I keep with me right now. Teach one, reach many, right? Teach one, you reach many. And B, you didn't even know I still had that, did you? but it's so powerful, because the issue is so big, because it's a global thing, right? But I can't look at it like that. I have a brother, have two brothers, have nephews, have people that I worship with, have people that I work with, and just touching one of those persons and just, I don't want to get religious because I'm not religious, but it's a let your light shine, right? You don't have to go out with a banner, right? You just have to be, and then people see that and it moves them, and then guess what happens? They're drawn to it. Man, they're like, wow, how are you able to just expose yourself like that and still be? Because I know you exude manliness, but you showed a vulnerable moment right there, and you still was able to maintain your essence of who you are, right? And then they're going to ask you a question, or they may not even ever ask, but they're going to just start watching us. And so there is another way, and that's what we do, man. We show first, we love on ourselves, right? So people will be interested in what you have to say. right? We have to be our best selves. And when I be my best self, I would have never wanted to have a conversation with Major Baker if I didn't sit out in that audience and see how he composed himself in front of that crowd, right? And I went up to him and said, man, how do you do that? He said, young man, young man, come with me. He just took me with him, and we winded up in Toastmasters. I'm like, Toastmasters? What is this? He was like, this is how it happens. I said, if that's how it happens, that's what I want. You see what I'm saying? Now, he didn't come up to me and say, hey, if you want to be great, you need to go to Toastmasters. No, I came with my plate. Say, man, I want you to fill this up with some stuff for me, okay? So basically, hey, let your light shine, fellas. I know each one of you going to say something to me tonight, and I already got my pad ready. It could be just one word, right? But that one word is so dynamic. Last thing I'm going to say, I'm going to let someone else have the floor. Words are spell, fellas. Words are spells, right? So when you speak in these words, that one word that you give me tonight, I'm going to be able to take it. I'm way down here in a little small country town called Gordon, Georgia. But I'm going to be able to get at the people you'll never meet. You know what I mean? So it's good to be in this environment right now. Kevin, take the mic. You know how I am.
Yeah, I do. So I want to touch on something that you said, because I think that it's important that we talk about it, and it's about loving yourself. I think as a man, when we get told from society that we're nothing, when we get told from society and they look at us because, one, we're black, two, because of the stigma that's already out there on us, we are our worst critics, and we start to look at ourselves, and that messes with us mentally, because we start not trusting in our own doing. We start not being able to say, I can do this. I believe that I can go out there and I can run 5 miles. But because someone tells me that I can't, and I keep hearing can't instead of can, it automatically makes me think that I can't. So we have to, one, we have to love ourselves. Two, we have to speak life. Even if no one speaks life into us, we have to speak life into ourselves. And that's a daily affirmation. Greg, I know you and I have talked about this plenty of times over the years about affirmations, but I feel like it's something that we as men have to do. You have to stand up and tell yourself day by day, today is going to be a good day. Whatever you want to say, but affirm that and believe that, because that, I think that helps. But to continue to talk about this, about loving yourself, what do you all feel about that?
Man, well, I started off, man. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna be transparent and honest as I know how to be. Like, I didn't start loving myself until last year. Once I found out I had stage 4 lung cancer. I ain't know nothing about myself. Who I thought I was rooted in everybody else's expectations. I didn't really believe the things that I should have been believing. And it took for me to get to my lowest point to figure out who I wanted to be, what I stood for, what I was leaving behind, for me to just really open my eyes to, I am important. I do matter to people. People do care about me. That was probably the hardest thing I've had to learn. I'm still coping with that to this day. And I'm about to be upon a year from my lung cancer surgery. And it's heavy on me, because I didn't even love myself enough to even take myself and my health serious before it even got to this point. I didn't even love myself enough to reciprocate the love that people were giving me. And just seeing that from a year out and just experiencing that, it breaks my heart. Like, it makes me want to cry. Like, I just told my wife yesterday, like, man, I just feel like crying, because I took everything for granted, and I didn't know I didn't know anything about myself. So as a young man, not even as a young man, because I'm 33, just even as a person in my position, like, I still don't know how to reach out and reciprocate love. I still don't know how to love myself properly. I'm learning and I'm relearning things, but because I've heard so many negative things about myself, And because I've been in so many bad environments that weren't good for me, hanging around people that were no good to me, I don't know what to do, to be honest. So if y'all can help me out with that, that'll be great. I don't mean to be too heavy, but you know what I'm saying? That's just something I'm struggling with.
I'll be short. For me, man, and how I grew up in my environment and everything like that, it was about the process. I'm 43 years old now. I know that my journey, I know that it was a process to get to the destination. Even though I haven't reached the destination that I desire, where I am is miles in comparison to where I used to be in mindset and everything like that. So I think for a lot of men, I think we have to kind of look at the process and stop trying so hard to get to the destination, and realize that within that process, that's how we build character, and that's how we build those core principles and values. Me and Kevin, how we grew up, you know, it's crazy now that I'm older. I didn't realize, even though you wanted certain things growing up, not having and having to go through those trials and tribulations and everything like that, that was part of the process. You know, I just didn't realize that until I got much older and started working in this field. You know, that was part of the journey. You know, so that's
You grow through what you go through. And my brother, you're in a great place saying you had to go get to the bottom. You know what I mean? Because Kevin can tell you, I'm on that journey that you're on, right? I remove myself from everything, because you have to be able to see. You have to be able to see yourself. And like when you have so much stuff around you, the world, like there's so much noise, right? So much noise. You have to, the good book says, be still. Like we feel like when we're doing stuff, we're being purposeful. But he is God. You know what I mean? He don't need no help. We have to be able to hear. And solitude is the most powerful place you can be, right? Because then there's no external entertainment. You know what I mean? There's nothing outside entering inside of me, right? There's an old African proverb says, if there's no enemy within, and we're our worst enemies, the world can do us no harm. So if I love myself, be attached to none of this stuff out here because I don't need it, right? And be true to my purpose that I wrote down, to the vision that I wrote for my family and child, like you have, right? Be true to that. And now it's tough now. I live around family. So when you start standing for what you believe, it's gonna rub people a certain way, because now you're not moving when they want you to move or how you want you to move. You're not acting how they want you to act. No, I'm being true to the God in me, right? The God in me. You'll see it later, and then you're gonna say you're glad you did. But you gotta be unshakable, man. I really, just for you putting that out there, you're not alone. You're just speaking the truth out loud. You're just speaking what.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't
Yeah, no. Get it in.
I want to talk about my brother for a second, because I was just sitting here thinking about him and his maturation process and how I've watched him grow. And I could tell now, the age that he is, that I know that he loves himself. Like, and he protects his peace, even when it comes to me. You know, I was just sitting here thinking how if I get on my brother's nerves for even a second, he will either hang the phone up in my face. He won't call. He won't call me for 2 weeks. He's blocked me before. You know, like he's blocked me to the point where I've had to like pop up on him with a surprise visit in Texas. Like, what's up?
That's self-love.
You see what I'm saying? Like, he loves himself that much. Even though I'm your brother, I'm his older brother, I'm not going to let you mess with, no kind of way I'm going to let you mess with my peace. And I'm not ready to have a conversation about whatever transpired. So that's also protecting your peace. And so I just want to talk about that for a second.
Now he is right. Um,
Don't smile.
Why you acting like me, Kay?
oh man. Yeah.
Don't smile. Don't smile. Don't smile.
Mm. But okay. Anybody else got
Yeah,
anything they want to say?
I want to talk about my brother Trip here because he pulled the curtain back, right? He pulled the curtain back, so I want to make sure we all give him something that he can chew on um, going forward because he's he's not only a father, he's a husband, and he's going through a fight right now, right?
Yeah, definitely. Every day is a fight.
I know I haven't talked about this. I don't think I've said it much, but I'm a very, very spiritual guy. Um, I think actually, man, what you're doing, and when I hear your story and what you have going, I think you're on the right road. I really do. I think you just need to stay focused. You are married, so listen to me. I don't care what anybody says. Having a spouse of any kind, listen to me. If they are a good person, they will help you along your journey. It's just for you to just stay focused on what you have as far as your journey and not get off track and everything like that, man. I think and stay prayed up too. And I don't mean having and people get when I say stay prayed up, man. Listen to me. I'm talking about as you're walking out your door, being thankful that you have the opportunity to see sunlight, or just being thankful for the small things. We as Christians or whatever your religion is, I think we want to wait until those moments of I call big, and then start giving all the glory. But man, listen to me. You woke up. You know, you can move your fingers.
Man, what?
You know, you can move your nose and
Come on now,
all the little. I'm talking about. I always
come on
tell
now.
my son, man, it's the. Let's not get concentrating on the big. The big is going to show itself because it's big. The
The big is made
little,
of little.
the little is what you have to go and look for and find. The little things, man, that matter in life. Not these cars or anything like that. They are great to have, but health, wellness, family, God, religion, all of those things, man, are the things that matter in life. People just don't realize it, man. We are such a watered down society as far as what we see on TV and what we see on social media and everything like that. But we don't focus on our journey or our path, man. So I'm sorry, I was long winded. I apologize.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Like I'm grateful to be in this environment right now because like it gives me an opportunity to seek the guidance of those who are older than me. Like y'all have been playing this game called life longer than me. And there's no shade or nothing, but I need that experience and that guidance from y'all. And I think that's the way a lot of guys my age should think. We should be looking to y'all to guide us and mentor us because
And
like this is like mental health, man. It is no joke, and it's a problem. And like we
yeah.
said earlier, like there's something that we're gonna have to address head on and as authentically as possible. We cannot hide from it. Like there's nothing we can do to run from it. We got to face it at some point. So I'm proud of y'all for giving me that advice, and I'm thankful. Appreciate y'all, man.
So I'm gonna say this, and it's crazy that I'm seeing this happen because I remember as a 19-year-old young man back in Eielson Air Force Base, and I remember Tracy Baker um, used to when we would go out to lunch, and he would pay for my lunch, and I said, "Oh, you ain't got to do that." And I remember him saying to me, pay it forward. Um, and the reason I said, "Oh, you ain't got to do that for me," is because again, where I grew up in the environment I grew up in, you learn to do stuff for yourself. You didn't take handouts. You didn't ask other people for things. You didn't. It was one of those. If you ain't got it, you ain't got it. And so that's how me and my brother grew up. And so when someone tried to do something for me, I was like, nah, I don't know because that's not what I'm used to. But I remember Tracy Baker saying to me, one day you're going to be able to do it for somebody. And I always think about that moment because I always refer back to that moment when I'm in a position to be able to help someone. And I think as men, we should be there to mentor the young generation coming up, and we should be able to help the young generation coming up to not have to deal with so much stuff. I would say this: if we were able to, if every man were able to take a young man, an older man take a young man and mentor them, we would have less people in jail. We would have less young men in jail because they would have had somebody that would have pulled them from their environment. Even if it's not even from their environment, just from what they're used to seeing. Because I'm telling you, joining the military and going out to see the world changed my life forever. Being able to see what I've seen thus far in my life, a lot of it was the military, and a lot of men don't get to see that. And when you have a family and your family wants to do this and your children wants to do this, that takes a toll on you as a man, because you're the head of the household and you're supposed to support. But how can you support when you don't have anything to give back? Because you're empty. And I want to talk about that for a minute. If you're on empty as a man, how can you pour out to someone else? If you're on empty as a man, how can you pour out to someone else? Because that's the hardest thing. I know they tell us as ministers, hey, you have to go and you have to get yourself refilled, recharged. It's just like filling up your gas tank. Your car is not going to move if you ain't got no gas in it. So you got to go to the gas station. You got to put gas in it for it to recharge, for you to be able to continue to move. But if you don't put any gas in it, then you can't move and you're stagnant and you're still. So as a man, we have to be able to go out and enlighten and mentor and help young people to push forward and inspire them and say stuff to them. So I just want to talk about that for a minute. When it comes to that, as far as being able to help mentor and all of that. So anybody can take it from here.
I will start off with that one, Mr. Kevin. Thanks for the kind words. And I'm going to tell you something right now. When I showed up at Eielson Air Force Base, Alaska, 2002, I had just been through the most tumultuous 2 to 3 year career of my career at the base I was at before. Bad bosses, bad drama, investigations. I'm like, man, what in the world? I show up in Alaska and I meet these brothers from the PMOC, Protestant Men of the Chapel, and I was on empty until I met these brothers. Brother Greg Burney, one of the singers, one of the athletes, one of the most incredible dudes I ever met in my life, started giving me, as a mentor and vice versa relationship, that fuel that I needed to make it through. He even let me go baseline on him in basketball and outrun him in flag football and score the touchdowns. Kevin's the same way. That young man was quiet and innocent and walking around. I mean, I was quiet and innocent too, but I still found my way to have, let's just say, a lot of adventures in Alaska. And y'all brothers know what I'm talking about, but that was a long time ago. But the point, fellas, is this, is that if I didn't have these young men in my life, at that time in my life, when I was on empty, I don't know where I would have ended up. So I just want to thank them publicly as well, again. And I want to tell you young brothers, especially brother that's dealing with the stage 4 lung cancer and stuff like that, and Kevin's big brother, of course, y'all matter. Y'all stories matter. Y'all voices matter. So I'm just going to tell you, whatever form it is, whether it's on this wonderful podcast or whether it's at church or wherever else, talk to the young brothers and find yourself a couple of older brothers that you can get wisdom and knowledge from them as well. And let's keep this thing going. Over to somebody else.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. That's another place where I'm at. So one of the things I've done since I've been able to be more mobile than I was before, I've started my own youth basketball team. And one of the things I tell them is try to instill in them is authenticity, resilience, and ambition. Like authenticity, be who you are. You're gonna feel things. Be honest to those feelings. Resilience, you're gonna meet trials and tribulations. You gotta want to get past that. You gotta be stronger than that. You gotta be mentally tough. And then I teach them ambition. Shoot for the stars. And ever since then, I've been coaching them for about 6 months now, and it's really kind of changed my perspective on things because now I'm cognizant on how I react to certain situations when I'm on the basketball court with them. Like I can't be out there showing out with the refs, and I'm trying to get them to be, respectable young men. Like, and it's really caged me, and they've really helped me recharge my battery as we're speaking.
You see how that works, and that's what B was talking about. Iron sharpens iron, right? None of us are perfect, right? But when you get two iron together, we sharpen each other, man, because it's at the end of the day, it's about energy. So if you get people that are exuding the right kind of energy, saying the right kind of words, right? And that's what it comes down to. Like, what kind of words are you saying when I'm in your environment? Are they words that are going to give me power? Are they words that are going to keep me where I'm at, or even worse, take me backwards, right? So, and that's one of the things I had to be aware of when I came. Like, this is home for me. I grew up in this place, and the thing about home is it's like a snake in a cage. It only get as big. It only get as big as the cage is in, and that's how this environment is. So you have to be aware of that and guard yourself, right? And for me, and I don't know who this is for, and don't get discouraged when people don't receive your good, right? Don't let that discourage you, right? That's just letting you know you're putting seeds somewhere where they don't need to be. You know what I mean? Like I can tell you, nobody will be gonna say him. Nobody had boots shinier than mine because I knew his boots were shining, and I wasn't gonna come into office and let him outshine me. You see what I'm saying?
Message.
That's the kind of environment you want, and it wasn't from a I'm gonna be better than you place. It's we trying to have the shiniest boots. Oh, yours ain't good, so let's work on that right now. You see what I'm saying? Like where your towel at, bro? You missed a spot on that. You like, it's a difference. It's a loving, because I know when you better trip, I don't ever have to meet you, but my life is better. Just because you're better, my life is better. And once we get that, it goes back to what everybody been saying. Love yourself. Take care of yourself. Meditate, pray, exercise, walk with God. Like, and anytime you get ready to add something to your life, people, things, is this adding to me? Is this a liability or an asset? And that's for anything. If you're about to go buy a new car, is this a liability or is this an asset? You about to go hang out with some friends. Is that conversation going to be a liability? Or are you going to have to go sit in your secret space and have some time to yourself to shake off what you just got? You know what I mean? Like, we don't think about things in that manner.
He only dropping gems, man.
Amen. Amen. Hey, so I want to talk about this because it came up while y'all were talking. This word came up. It's called boundaries. It's called boundaries. And I think we all have them, and sometimes some of us have less, some of us have more. But the thing is, I think when you have those boundaries, it helps with your mental health because now people understand, if you cross a boundary with me, like my brother was saying, I have to protect my peace now because I know that my brother can get on my nerves sometimes. So yes, I have to hang up the phone with him. And I mean, we don't got used to that. Like I'll hang the phone up in a minute, but I come back to it, and we come back to it like nothing ever happened because that's my brother. And he understands that, and I understand that. And I think once you have that understanding, then it shouldn't be an issue. But let's talk about boundaries, because I think that helps with your mental health, because you don't let people come into your fold, into your circle. And I definitely know Maestro has his boundaries, and I had to learn those again, because I hadn't seen him in a long time. So when I got to see him, and I went down to Gordon, Georgia, to visit him for New Year's a couple of years ago, I got to learn the boundaries again, because I hadn't seen him in a while, and then I know my brother's boundaries. But let's speak on boundaries.
I'll start. Just be kind of short one. I think boundaries are very important. I don't see how people exist without them. Actually, letting people just invade your space. Whether I'm not talking about space physically, I'm talking about your head space. All of those things. Allowing that to happen, and not having those boundaries and not setting those boundaries. All you're doing is helping the process of your not the process, but helping your mental health state decompensate. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. Without boundaries, you are helping your mental health state decompensate. That is all you're doing. So I'm very, very big on boundaries. I think they actually. I was just talking to my son about this the other day about about having boundaries even with his friends. Not that I don't want him to have friends or anything like that, but throughout his maturation process, I want him to understand that even with your friends, you have to have boundaries, because your friends can over jump those boundaries too. Family members can over jump those boundaries. So I think you have to set them, enforce them is a key thing, and not feeling bad about enforcing those boundaries. I had to learn that from my brother actually. It's crazy. Enforcing enforcing, enforcing those boundaries, not just setting them, enforcing those boundaries. And I think that's key.
A wise man once told me, I don't know who it was, I don't know if it was one of my mentors or what, but they told me about boundaries, and I didn't really get it until it was me. And the one thing that they said was, the boundaries aren't for you. Like, the boundaries aren't for the other person. The boundaries are for you. Like, I have these boundaries in place so I don't do something that I don't need to do. So that is my boundary. That is me saying, hey, this is getting to a level where I'm uncomfortable with. I know if I respond to this any certain way, this is going to be outside my boundary, and I don't want to deal with that. And that is when it clicked for me. It was like, oh, wow. It's not just to say, like, hey, this is my boundary. You can't cross my boundary. The boundary is a reminder for me. Like, nah, you're not going to get me again, bro. You keep pulling me in, luring me into these traps to be arguing with people and to be going back and forth and disagreeing. Like, nah, bro, the boundary is for me, not for anybody else.
As a military man, I've always been surrounded by boundaries, whether it was being yelled at, out, or whether we were in basic training or whatever. There's always been boundaries. Don't cross that line. Stand with your feet, your toes by the line. And then when it came to sports, football, you got the sideline. I mean, B knows I was tiptoeing down the sideline when I scored them touchdowns on him. Basketball, the same thing, out of bounds. We as men, we don't believe in boundaries sometimes, or if we do, we just let them go by the wayside. How many times have we been somewhere with, let's just say, somebody we shouldn't have been, and you say committed? I thought you said come hit it. I don't know what you meant. We don't know sometimes as we interpret our boundaries for ourselves. And all I'm saying, gentlemen, is this. I came to a point in my life at 52 years old, I had to say, man, I'm not going to do that over there. I'm not going to do this over here. So I've been staying inside the boundaries for a long time in a lot of different areas. And one of those areas has been as a man. There's some things that I'm going to do and not do based upon my beliefs. I don't believe in all that. The Bible says you will or won't do that. It's what Tracy Baker will or won't do. So sometimes I got to do some things. Sometimes I don't. But the boundaries that you set for yourself are the ones that you got to follow and the ones that you got to live with. Is it okay to go out 2, 3 in the morning and drink? I don't know. I've never been drunk before in my life. I'm in bed by 8:30. If I'm up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, it's too late because I should have been up 2 hours earlier working out, doing whatever readings I'm doing. So all I'm saying is everyone should have a boundary for themselves. When it comes to mental health, The way you protect your mental health is to establish and enforce those boundaries so people can't get in. On a daily basis, I'm getting 30, 40 emails. I'm getting 10, 20, 30, 40 texts every couple hours. People are clamoring for my time, my attention, my info. I got to cut some people off and cut some things off because I got to have boundaries. So make sure y'all got boundaries, gentlemen, especially when you're trying to maintain a good, positive focus.
And you guys said everything beautifully. What I would add is takers have no limits. So like you said, the boundaries are for us.
Okay. All right.
Message.
All right. So the next thing I wanna talk about is and this will kind of I'll start this. I'll talk about this, and then I'll kind of lead into what I want us to talk about now. So everybody knows Ja Morant, and I hate that I have to talk about Ja Morant because he plays for the home team. But at the same time, and somebody said something about it earlier, but it's about your friends and it's about who you choose to be around. And your friends can hurt you or help you. And one of the things that I've learned, especially since I've been here in Dallas, is if you look in the room and everyone that you associate yourself as and call them as a friend, and everyone in the room is looking at you because you're the person that has the most to offer, then you need to choose a new set of friends. Because the point of having friends, different friends, is you're supposed to glean from each friend, and each one of them is supposed to have something to offer to help build you up. If they can't help build you up, what is the point of them being a friend to you? They're looking to you for something, but you're supposed to be looking to somebody else for something. If everyone in a room is looking to you for something, then you need to choose a different room. You need to choose a room where there's more people that are looking to other people versus everyone looking to one person, because that's the wrong room to be in. And there's no growth. And then that starts affecting your mental health in a way, and your capacity, because now everyone's looking to you for answers. Everyone's looking to you to give and help them with all their things. Now you have all this stuff on your shoulder, and you're trying to take on everybody else's problems, but you don't even have nobody to be able to help you with your problems. So when it comes to friendship, let's talk about it, because I say Ja Morant because everybody that sees me and knows me that I'm from Memphis, they bring that up all the time, and I always tell them, hey, he's young. Did he do something crazy? Yes. But the thing is that we forget about this whole Ja Morant thing is it was his friend who turned on his phone and recorded him. It was his friends that did all the stuff, put him on live. And that's the thing that we gotta, if you making $1 million some dollars, why would you put your friend, if that's a true friend, he would look out for you and not expose you. And so let's talk about that, because that can hurt your mental health. And I know right now Ja is tired of hearing all this, but that can hurt his mental health. And he's not the only one. I just use that as an example because somebody said something that made me think of Ja Morant. But it's those types of things that we have to um, be cautious of when it comes to friendship. So let's speak on that, gentlemen.
That's Ja's problem. He his dad, where it initially should start. Forget the friends and the hanger owners. His dad is trying to be his friend instead of parent him. You got him to this point parenting him, and now that his income and his tax status has changed, now you have become one of the hanger owners almost, instead of the person who is guiding him or should be guiding him into the right direction. Because if he had some kind of parental influence or something like that, and somebody in his ear on a consistent basis, he would have thought twice about every move that has gotten him in trouble up to this point. He would have. That parental figure and that father figure in his life, that is what got Ja to the point that he has gotten to. The rigorous training, the getting yelled at and everything like that. You can't do this or you can't eat this. His father was being a parent. But now his father has stopped parenting him so much, and now his father is in the limelight almost more than Ja is.
Man, what? I definitely agree. Just to add on to that, like, I feel like Ja's father can't really say too much to him because of the way that Ja's father has raised him. It's apparent that Ja's father has raised him out for pride, you know, that mentality of I pay the bills, I do what I want. So now that Ja is making $200 million and feeding everybody, like, what can you tell somebody? Like, can you tell your son after you just told him you just spent 20 years of your life beating on your chest, I pay the bills, I pay the rent, I do this, I do that. Now the tables are turned. Like, what can you say?
I'm sorry. I feel like if Ja's dad was being a parent and he was fathering, that money wouldn't matter.
Agreed.
Because I'm still going to tell you what is right and what is wrong. I'm not going to be behind, even if you feel like within yourself that you want to cut me off and you don't want to talk to me anymore, then you're really going to fall by the wayside because there's really no one there to tell you or give you any kind of proper instruction. So it's a detriment to him, man. It really is.
And what people like to forget is that this isn't the first time we've seen this happen. Like, we didn't have this with LeVar Ball, but people hated him for what he was doing.
Right.
And his boys, you know what I'm saying? Even though they're not all in the league, they're making things shake and they're not in trouble. Like, I think Jello had that one incident when he was in college, and that was it. All it took was one time, and that was over with. He stole them shades, and then we didn't hear no more about it. It wasn't no more mess ups. So we just need more dads like LeVar Ball. As much as we hate to admit it, people were mad because he was always on the cameras, but he's his dad. He should be. He should be. I'm not going to let you drag my son, of course.
Hey, I'm going to jump in here, fellas, and I'm
ahead.
going to offer a little counter perspective. I'm not going to sit here and down no other grown man about what they do, how they do it, where they do it, who they do it with, because that's none of my business. But I can tell you from my perspective, somebody mentioned earlier about the friends you choose. Now, my father's not in my life. I haven't talked to him in 8 years. I can easily be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go and drink and do all this stuff because I don't have my dad. Listen, you got to man up sometime and make your own decisions and do your own thing. When somebody mentioned something about being the most known in the room and people come, that used to be me. Everywhere I went, before I went to Alaska, I walk in the room and it was about me. I met these brothers right here, Brother Jay and Brother B right here, and Kevin Smith and Rich Wiley, all these different guys. I could sit in the background and glean off of them and learn from them and not have to worry about a father figure or other people. These are my friends that showed me how. Then when I left there in 2005, since then, I haven't had that same group of friends to help sharpen the iron that's in here. So when it comes to Ja Morant, when it comes to Kobe, LeBron, Ben Roethlisberger, all these people that have been out in the limelight that have tested their own personal boundaries, I can't sit here and even fault them because I don't know the behind the closed doors, behind the scenes, what's happened. Money will make you do some funny things, okay? But at the same time, if you're a man, you're gonna do. You never heard LeBron doing nothing crazy. I know he had the stuff in high school, but you never heard nothing LeBron said. LeBron's dad wasn't nowhere to be found. But when you got 800 million, you pretty much can do what you want to do. We'll probably never hear about it. So I'm telling you right now, from a man perspective, mental health perspective, we got to find a way to make sure our own house is in order, make sure the people that are around our area are taken care of, and then everybody else in the news or whatever else, okay, let's just watch it as a movie or something fun and just kind of say, hey, it is what it is. But I don't know. Ja Morant, I don't know what's really going on with him. I see what's on the TV. I see what's going on. Is there something else going on? I don't know. Not my business. But I do know that he needs to find better people to be around, period, whether it's friends, father, whoever. My opinion.
So I wanna change and go to this real quick. So I want to touch on the fact of why is it that there's in the Black community, why is it that we don't talk about mental health? Like why is it that there's so many people? And I'm gonna tell you the thing that it hurts and the thing that's hardest for me is when I see us men walking the streets talking to ourselves. There's something within a part of that person's chapter in their life that had them turn out that way. There's something that happened in their life that made them get to that point in their life. Sometimes it's I don't want the help. Sometimes it's I don't have the money for the help. Sometimes I don't have the resources. No one's telling me. But at the end of the day, I just want us to talk about that. We're gonna talk about that, and then we're gonna wrap up. But I want to talk about why is it that mental health is not
Mm-mm,
something that's talked about in
mm-mm.
the Black community.
Okay. Hey, this your show, bro. But I don't think we should end on the why. I think we
Well,
need to
we
talk about
oh,
how we
we not the end on the why. We're not
yeah,
gonna
because
end on the
like
why.
remember our words, right? Our words. So the more we talk, we give our perspective on how it isn't brewing the right way. We're not giving the people who listen to this any ingredients on how to cook it up the right way. You see what I'm saying? So, but it. Let's talk about the how. We know what it is. We know what it is. It's we adopted a culture that taught us to be a certain way, and the culture that we emulated wasn't even our own culture, right? We adopted a culture that said your ladies are something that we never even thought of, right? So if you really want to like pull the curtain all the way back, you have to go all the way back to where do we get it from? Where do we get our words from, right? And then once we realize that, then we're like, who made up these rules? Because from birth, people have been giving us how to do, what to do, when to do it, where to do it, right? And if you ask them where they got it from, that's just what it is. And I was, Kevin, I was always a person, I was very curious growing up. I always wanted to know the why. So it drove my parents crazy. Why do we do it this way? Why is that way? Why do you say that? Why? But if you don't know the why, I can't really commit to it. You understand? So and it I don't want to it's such a intimate subject, man. I could talk about it forever. But I think we just need to peel back on I think Trip and your brother mentioned it earlier. Like I really didn't know who I was. I was emulating things that I really, now that I'm stepping outside of myself, I don't even agree with that. Right? That's not even really who I am. Or that's not really who I see myself being. And once we learn how to project mentally, and I could just tell you my story. I believe if I can see it, I can do it. Right? But what we have to realize is you're not gonna always see it in this realm. You got to get in your quiet place and in your mind. Trip going through a serious situation, and we all have something that we're going through. I almost lost my left hand. Right, this hand, well, you can't see it. This hand right here, you can't even really tell, but they had to put these fingers back on my hand, right? But you wouldn't know it. God is good. But you have to imagine in your mind what you want to do. It's a little adage that I write on my mirror that I see it every morning. It's called SPEC. You select it, then you project it, right? But ooh, B, you're gonna have to jump in here because this is getting good, right? So you really have to see yourself and who you want to be, and then you surround yourself around people who have pieces of what you want. And if you don't know what you want, just get in a good environment and start snipering people.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, ooh, he got something good I want. Let me grab that. Ooh, she got something good I want. Let me grab that, right? And now you're starting adding rays to your light. I'm adding rays to my light by building myself up. Like Tracy said he never met a group of people like he met at Allison. That was for an appointed time. I had never went on a retreat with men in my life. I've never even thought I would have did such a thing. Why do I want to go hang out with some men? It's all about the ladies, right? Right? That's what we're told, right?
Those are incredible.
Right, we're supposed to hang around a whole bunch of ladies. The more ladies you have, you see what I'm saying? But man, those 3 years watching those men live the way they live, going about their business, chest up, unashamed, men crying when they wanted to cry, worshiping how they wanted to worship. You see what I'm saying? I carry that with me every day. You know what I mean?
That's
Oh, last thing, Kevin.
Go
I
ahead.
would encourage everybody to read a book called The 4 Agreements. If you haven't read it, read that book.
I got it on
It'll
Audible.
change your
Right
life.
Okay. All right. Greg is one that definitely reads. He put me on some books myself. Fellas, this is coming to the end, but I definitely want us to just give final thoughts. I appreciate y'all being on. My brother had to hop off, but I definitely appreciate you all being on. I'm going to continue to talk about this as long as I see that there's a need to talk about it. And I think I need to do more content than just on Tuesday. I kind of recognized that this past week. It was laid on my heart just to put out more content on mental health, and just talking about it, so more people can talk about it. I think that it's something that we don't talk about, and I think that's why so many people walk around with so many issues. Is because we've been told not to talk about it, because it's a shameful thing that we made shameful. It's a shameful thing that we as men, as people, have made shameful. No one has ever said talk. No one has ever put in a book, talking about mental health is bad. But we as people have put it out there in the world, in the atmosphere, to say, if you talk about your feelings, you're weak. If you talk about your feelings, if you talk about your emotions, oh, you shouldn't talk about this. And that's how I was raised. And so I want you all to give whatever you want to say, your final thoughts, on anything dealing with mental health, whatever you want to say. But again, I truly appreciate you all being on here. So, final thoughts, gentlemen.
Hey, my final thoughts is this: be you, be authentic, be the change you want to see. It's not going to happen just with you just standing by. You got to get in there and make some shake. Love yourself, be true to who you are, and do things that's going to make your family proud when you leave, because you never know when your last moment is going to be.
All right, Maestro.
Church. Hey, I'm not going to say much because I said a lot, but as y'all fellas know, if you communicate with me, every breath is a gift. And I know that sounds really impactful speaking to my brother, but I really believe that. Start your day with gratitude. If something doesn't suit you well, just change the way you look at it, and then you'll see it differently. I appreciate you guys being on this forum. Kevin, thank you for inviting me. I hope to be a part of this again.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Tracy.
And we know all things work together for good for those that love God and called according to his purpose. I see Kevin Smith hosting a podcast. I see Kevin Smith's energy and enthusiasm and confidence have skyrocketed since the last time I physically saw him talk. And that warms my heart to let me know that that young brother is going to be okay and that he is okay. So that lesson alone tonight has been an inspiration for me to be here and see my brother Greg and meet Mr. Tripp and hear his story and all the rest of the folks on the call tonight. So I really appreciate it. So keep sharpening the iron, sharpen the iron, let the iron sharpen each other, and let's keep doing this, whether it's this forum or whether it's just getting together on Zoom just to kick it or just talk as men. Let's keep this going.
So again, I appreciate y'all. Man, Tracy, you about to make me cry, because I remember a time. I don't want to keep us long, but I gotta say this. I remember a time when I was this shy young boy, leaving home for the first time, headed to Eielson Air Force Base in Fairbanks, Alaska. Didn't know nobody. And I remember Tracy Baker actually introduced me and Greg to each other because I needed to take Greg to go and get, he was buying a vehicle. And that's how him and I met, through Tracy. And we continued that bond. And that was back in 2001. That's when we all met, 2001. In Alaska, and we still to this day talk. And so it's these types of relationships that I hold, because you can't get this with everyone. And I always tell people, after my mom and my dad passed, I always tell people, cherish the ones that you love. Even when my god brother passed, cherish those friendships, cherish those brotherhoods, those sisterhoods, because you can't get them. Everyone's not going to be the same to you. Everyone's not going to mean the same to you. But the people who truly hold you and truly see you, and I talked about this earlier in the season, but when I say see you, it's capital S, capital E, capital E. See who you are as a person and know who you are, then they can be able to see, oh no, you doing this. I'm not used to that. And for Tracy to say that, yes, I was this shy dude, but to be where I'm at now is amazing, and I owe that all to God, because He's brought me through a journey to be here, to tell my testimony, and to have others tell their testimonies. Like Trip, I met Trip through just posting it in a group. We didn't even know each other. He saw the post, he reached out to me, and that was history. And now him and I have made a friendship just off of one connection and one flyer. So it can be done. We just have to do the work for it to happen. So I appreciate you all for joining this call. Appreciate to the viewers, those who are going to see this, those who are going to share this. I appreciate you. I look forward to the conversation continuing next week. I don't know if it's going to be the end of the season. I don't know what's going to happen next week, but you will know, and I will let you know soon if it's going to be the last show for the season or if I'm going to continue on talking about mental health. But I will let you know then. But until then, whether it's early morning, whether it's mid-afternoon, whether it's late at night, a good cup of Joe and a conversation would always get you right. This is Coffee and Conversation with Kevin Smith. Have a good night.